Are we good? Good in the back, okay, great. Well, anytime we're here in August, we know that it's time to start looking forward and move forward and get excited about a new season and announcing the schedule. I think is always the first step in that. And as we said in our formal release earlier today, it's obviously a very aggressive, challenging schedule for this team. But one that, as I've said over and over again, fits with our philosophy of continuing to build and grow a program and then stay the course with, laying the foundation for what we want to do here. And that means playing a nationally competitive schedule. And, when you talk about potentially 5 NCAA tournament teams, 2 probably preseason top 5s, a couple teams that, in Tennessee State, who's going to be picking near the top of their conference returns a lot. Elon returns a lot, even some of those games. I think you're looking at a schedule that is extremely challenging. We're going on the road in our second game of the year, with a group that doesn't have a ton of road experience, and so again, it's one that we know is going to present some serious challenges for us, but again, fits with our philosophy of wanting to make sure that we keep the right company and build this thing by playing in the kind of games that we want to be a part in, not just for this year, but for years to come. So we'll take it as a challenge and look forward to it.
Gerald, with the Vegas Invitational, how did that come about? Did you ask for it? Did they just randomly assign you, or how did that process come about?
You mean that the tournament as a whole, Dave?
Right.
Yeah. Nowadays with the exempt rule having changed a few years back, the exempt tournaments are a chance to get extra games, get some quality opponents on neutral sites that maybe you might not be able to schedule otherwise, and so. It was one that we were approached about when seeking out those kind of tournaments, and it's got the advantage of you get 2 games at home of those 4, and then you go on a neutral site, and again you look at who's there. Obviously North Carolina in the first round, which is a terrific game in terms of playing against the kind of storied programs that we want to build our program into being, and then the opportunity to play either UNLV or USC regardless of the first game. In that second one, and so it's an opportunity again to get good neutral games against quality opponents and get you a couple extra games in your schedule as well.
Darren played the Tar Heels for the first time in like 15 years or so. From your standpoint, what's that mean? I mean, North Carolina, South Carolina has a long history of going back to their ACC days of playing, but hadn't played much recently. But from your standpoint, besides just playing a top 10, top 5 type team, what's it mean for you, and is that something you'd like to regularly do to keep playing them every so often?
Well, I mean, I think it's a great game. I think it's a great game for all the reasons you just said, Neil. There's tradition there. Obviously, there's the North-South thing. There's the background with elite play and the tradition and history of playing. But also, they're going to be year in and year out one of the top teams in college basketball, and so you've got a team like that on your schedule. This year, and you can't beat those teams if you don't play them. And a lot of people and colleagues in the business think I'm crazy. I've lost my mind with the schedule that we have. But you don't have an opportunity to beat those teams and keep that kind of company if you don't play them. And so we're open to games like that. We may have a few too many this year with the Big East deal being sprung on us by the SEC, but I think that it's a good game. It's going to get a ton of exposure, and it's going to give us an opportunity to test ourselves very early, and have an opportunity to pull off a big win.
Questions, guys?
With the Elon game, Darren, was that just a home and home from last year, or are you guys going to maybe keep Elon on the schedule for a 2-1 and next year or beyond?
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1. Part of the thing, or one of the things that we think really helps upgrade your schedule. We've talked about this so many times. Every year when we talk about this, the big names, the Providence and Clemson's and North Carolina, also the BCS schools. They look good, and obviously they rate out well, but the real way to strengthen your schedule is to play quality teams, period. Elon's a team that is in an area that we recruit. It's a 2-for-1 where you go on the road show the committee you're willing to go on the road and play. You know, again, second game of the year, you know, that anytime you go on a road environment, regardless of where it is, that's a challenge, you know, without question. But, you know, they returned a lot of players and you know, shot the ball extremely well from the three last year. I think they were top 5 in the country in three-pointers made total. So, you know, it's one of those games, you know, along the lines of, you know, like the Western Kentucky game we had, you know, just, you know, quality opponents, maybe not BCS opponents. And, you know, the Western Kentucky game will be picked back up next year. With the Big East game coming on, and just a scheduling conflict on dates, and unable to work out a date. But you know, I think you know, Tennessee State in the tournament is another good example of that. You know, they're a team that returns, I think, 3 double-figure scores, has a couple D1 transfers sitting out. You know, and then obviously they'll come in here, you know, ready to play if they won't be picked. You know, second, I'm sure it'll be, you know, top 3 or 4 in their league for sure. And so, you know, those are the games in addition to the BCS games that, you know, really help strengthen your schedule.
Yeah, with such a, you know, inexperienced team and a little bit of an experienced team and this kind of tough schedule, how are you going to measure success this year? What are you looking to see in these tougher opponents in the games against those guys?
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, we talked about that a little bit earlier in the spring. You know, it would have been easier, you know, what we did have left to do with the schedule to just completely dumb it down, you know, rack up as many wins as we could and say, hey, look, we're doing better. But, you know, again, philosophically for us, building for the long term, that's really not what we're going for. I think, you know, what we want to see is what we've been talking about for months now. We want to see progress. You know, we want to see a team that gets better. You know, I don't necessarily think 2 wins in Las Vegas, for example, means that, all right, we've arrived or where we want to be. But you know, I think that it's a process, and you know, we want to see our team continue to get better. And you know, as we've talked about it, you know, I think it's time to move forward and not rehash. But you know, at the same time, the disappointment in last year, you know, for me as a coach was, you know, we didn't get better, and that's something our teams have always done. And so I think that's how we're going to measure: are we getting better? And you know, if we do that, then we'll grab some wins.
Coach, what are some of the more intriguing home matchups for fans to be on the lookout for on the schedule?
Well, yeah, I think a big one is, you know, obviously the Big East Challenge. You know, it's going to be at a time when the students are still here, and the Garnet Army is so important. You know, I mean, I've said time and again, I'm going to preach it now more than I ever have. You know, we have to be successful at home to be successful, and the biggest part of that is the student fans and the Garnet Army. And when they've been out in full force, this has been an intimidating, tough place to play, so we need them. We need all of our fans to be out. But you know, I think that's one that probably stands out because they'll still be here for that. And then of course Ohio State at home. You know, they're going to be preseason top 5. Obviously they got some first-round draft picks on their team, specifically Sullinger, you know, returning. And you know, that's going to be a game, you know, over the break, but a game that you know, again, those are 2 marquee games in Colonial Life Arena, and you know, those are games that we want to be a part of. Those are games that we want in our building, that we think are going to again give us a chance to beat a quality opponent, and you know, again, build that national level you know, program through scheduling that we want.
Have you given much thought to what you're going to do as far as the preseason, maybe like a Midnight Madness, or I know you've done some with the students in the past, or anything to kick off the season?
Yeah, you know, we haven't. Actually, that'll be something, you know, when we get back into school here in a few weeks that we'll look at. And there'll be something for the students, for sure. But, you know, exactly what and when and all that, we haven't decided.
How much more difficult is the early part of the schedule without having Bruce to help you navigate it?
Well, I think it's just from a sheer experience standpoint. You know, he was a guy that was, you know, there every game last year for us along the way. And so, you know, even though Eric played a lot for us, you know, it wasn't in a starting role, and so I think from an experience standpoint, you know, would it be nice to have him? Sure, it'd be great to have him, but, you know, we also know that going in. You know, it's not like an injury where, you know, we're 3 weeks into practice and, you know, 2 days before a big game, a key guy goes down. You know, we know that going in, and you know, we'll coach accordingly.
Any more questions?
All right, thanks.
We got one more question.
Oh, we got one?
I was just going to add, with Mike, just wanted to get an update on Cook and how that injury is progressing.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing good. You know, both he and Lakeem, you know, we're doing really well. You know, they're the kind of injuries that, you know, how do you chart the progress on it, until they're fully back? It's kind of hard to say, but in terms of, moving from cast to boot, from boot not to boot, and then all those things, we're getting really positive reviews from our medical staff, and would expect those guys to be full go when it's time to go in October.